I'm Elizabeth,
I'm Emma,
I'm Delaney.
I'm Ozma.
and you're watching
and
Not too
not
shocked.
too
Talk
shocked
to
to talk.
Talk. Hold it. We should be good, right?
Maybe, hopefully.
Okay, so we're here to talk about culture shock. So my first question is, uh, when have you guys experienced culture shock? What is an example each of you could give?
I think my one of my experiences of culture shock would relate to what I was talking about earlier, which is school. I go to college at University of Minnesota, and I think the culture shock really came when I switched from living in my small town to going to a slightly bigger town. But just like being on my own, figuring out how to do things without help from other people, and making decisions for myself.
When it was stressful, how did you adapt to it?
I think one of the biggest ways that I like adapted to that is just like taking time for myself, taking breaks, constantly reminding myself that like not everyone knows what they're doing. No one knows what they're doing. So even if you mess up, it's just part of life. So just constantly like staying in like a positive mindset and understanding that I'll get there when I get there, no matter what it was.
A place that I visited recently and I keep like visiting is Florida. So just going to Florida is like really interesting because I'm so used to having people I know like surround me to literally Florida where I only know like 6 people, 5 people, and then just going to places that I've never seen before. I'm like no idea where the heck I'm going, rather than Minnesota where I'm just like I know where to go. I know like a lot of places. I know a lot of people. So it's just that like culture shock of like not knowing where the heck I am and not knowing like barely anyone besides my family. I tried to like go out and do stuff, but at the same time it was kind of out of my bubble. So I just tend to like stay near my parents and brother. And I do have grandparents that live down there. So I would always be with them to make sure that I was comfortable with what I was doing. So I have that kind of isolation of just being right next to my family the whole time rather than going out and be like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. That's super cool too.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
so that's that slight isolation of just wanting to be next to my family because I don't know where I am.
Yeah, like clinging to the familiarity. Kind of.
Mhm.
Yeah,
What about you, Ozma? I know
definitely.
you traveled to where your mom lived, right?
Yeah, where my parents grew up, Kenya, when I was 11 years old. And when we touched down in Nairobi, the capital city, there was garbage everywhere. I was shocked because in America you could get fined for littering.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked my mom, like, who's gonna pick up this garbage? And she laughed at me because she's like, this girl doesn't know what she's talking about. And I grew up in this, so she's used to it, I guess, and wasn't as shocked as I was. And especially the last week when we were in Kenya, I was in Mandera, a small village where my parents grew up and where my grandparents and cousins live. Um, their water, like they don't have sinks. Their water actually comes in like barrels, and like you have to scoop out the water to like wash your hands or whatever. So the first day when we were there, we obviously eat with our hands. So I needed to wash my hands, and I asked one of my aunts, and she just looked at me like, "Why would you ask such a dumb question?" you know?
Did you feel like, because what did you say? You said it was like your aunt who kind of laughed at you and you're like, is this girl stupid?
Yeah.
Did you feel like that kind of embarrassed you or put you off, or were you more like, fine, I'll figure this out. I'll learn about how your home works.
No, I was definitely way sensitive back then. So I was like, am I really this dumb? Like, why am I? And it like furthered me away from asking questions.
Totally. I understand that. I had a some not it wasn't the same experience obviously, but I had an experience in France and British, and American. and like very bubbly and like overly expressive, and I use a lot of like fluffy words like wonderful and magnificent and oh great, like I'm kind of like
Yeah.
a flowery talker. And I remember being in Paris, and I was staying in an Airbnb, and it was our last day, and the Airbnb's host son was there, and we were looking at their family photos, and they were telling us about their lives, and they were like, "Oh, thank you for staying. I hope you enjoyed your stay." And I was like, "Yes, no, thank you so much. It was wonderful." And I kind of said it like that, like really like, and her son looked at me with so much disdain, and he was like, wonderful. He laughed in my face. I was like, yeah. But the thing was like, they were just like, they're like Parisians, and I've never been to other parts of France, so I couldn't say. But Parisians are just, I feel, a little more elegant than maybe I am, or like my British culture, or even like my Midwest culture is.
How did you act after that? Were you
I was
still?
so embarrassed. Like my armpits started sweating.
Oh
And I was
no.
like, I'm Irish.
Oh.
I was red in my cheeks, and I was just like, and I turned to my boyfriend who was with me, and I was like, "Am I a loser?" And he was like, "No, no,
Oh.
you're just very outgoing, and it freaks people out sometimes." But I was like a little like, "Oh, I don't know if I could look at them again. Like they are giggling at me." And so I actually love Paris, and I would always go back, and I love Parisian culture. But it definitely was like an awakening that I'm not aware of all Parisian culture, obviously, and they're probably not aware or not favorable towards my culture. So it's like it's hard to navigate that with grace.
Oh,
Okay.
podcast. We should do bloopers.
Oh my gosh, we're
Yes.
recording, right?
Go. All right,
Are we doing it again?
3. Let's do it.
Okay. I'm Elizabeth.
We got a stupid
Hello.
notification. Okay, we're good now.
Thank you all for listening.
Oh, sorry.
You guys.
Cool. We'll just get started. All right.
We're gonna get a drink.
What was our show called again?
It's good. Wait, we should have counted. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
On the count of 3. 1,
Okay.
2, 3.
Thank you all for listening.
thank you all for listening.
Because our hands were still up. Our hands were still up. I was like, thank you all for listening. Bye from Elizabeth.
Oh, we're not doing that.
Oh wait,
Wait, what?
Are we at the
I'm
same
so confused.
What
I'm
happened
so
to the
confused.
counting?